Hey guys, it's Cody. I'm on day 82 of the Odin project, and today I did something a little bit different. I actually live streamed my work on the final JavaScript project this morning using Twitch. I'm going to be doing this going forward because I want to show you guys a little bit more than just these recaps. I want to show you exactly how I'm going about projects. And this is going to be maybe good for you guys if you are interested in learning how I actually go about doing my projects and what that looks like. But it's also going to be good for me in that I'm going to get practice actually talking about my projects out loud as I'm doing it. So I'm used to taking lots of notes. I think it'll be good interview prep for thinking out loud with what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So we'll see where this goes. I'm planning on doing it for the rest of this week, and I'll kind of make decisions about what I'm going to do with it going forward. But if you're interested, I'll have the link to the Twitch account below, and then I'll also have a card in this video for you guys to see the live stream from this morning if you'd like to. Other than that, let's get into what I did today. So let's take a look at the screen. So during that live stream, I was actually working on the dashboard project again. So this is the final JavaScript project, and I was specifically working in the lexicons tab. As you can see, the UI is a little bit different here. We have the search bar and these lexicon stats actually being below the menu. So these are actually being loaded into the main content or into the content that's being rendered each time you click one of these. And so you'll see this for each one of the pages, but the lexicon page is where I did most of my work today. That's because I wanted to make the search bar and also these lexicon stats have interactions with the data that's specifically being rendered for each tab. So there's going to be unique aspects for this page and that page as well. But for this tab, we're going to have lexicon stats specifically, and then I want the user to be able to search within the lexicons that are presented and filter their search down to what they specifically want to look for. That's one aspect of what I did today. The lexicon stats, I made those dynamic, and then I also made some dynamic characteristics of the lexicons here. But let's start with the lexicon stats. If we go over here, so I'm now importing the attributes array and the lexicons array into the lexicons component for the lexicons component, and they're actually being utilized down here and here to first get an array of unique attributes only. So I'm looking for attributes that are within the attributes array that only occur once across all the lexicons. And I'm doing the same thing with the unique product categories as well, and that's going to be coming from the lexicons array. And so those two things will actually be important for calculating the number of unique product categories, the number of unique attributes. We see that here and here. And then the references count is going to be just the length of that attributes array, and the lexicons count is going to be the length of the lexicons. And we actually have that data coming out down here and being rendered within these spans of these menu bottom right, which is going to be right here. And so this data is dynamic. It is looking at the arrays specifically that are being imported for the lexicons. To jump to a similar aspect, this was another dynamic piece, but this is at the lexicon level. So this is going to be down here where we're mapping over the lexicons array. So right here. And within that, we're going to get lexicon attributes based off of the lexicon ID, the LID that is within the lexicons array. So we're going to be kind of connecting these two arrays, the attributes and the lexicons, and we're going to then take those lexicon attributes and find some unique attributes, very similar filtering and find index to what we did above. Same thing down here with these unique references. Since this is the lexicon level, we're looking at attributes and references that are unique to that specific lexicon. And then we're going to calculate the lengths based off of those arrays of those unique attributes and unique references. And then if we go down here, we have our project tile, which is these product cards over here. And number of unique attributes is here, and number of unique references is here. And we're using those attributes count and those references count to actually populate the data there. So that was another fairly straightforward calculation that was going on here. But then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is this filter on the lexicons array. I have a search term that is being used right here to filter the lexicons based off of the lexicon product name. And if the lexicon product name includes the search term, then it will be populated down here. I'm using state to actually do this. The search term is set within state. It's set as blank first. That way all the lexicons will come up. And then this handle change function is actually attached to the onChange event for the input. So for this search input, and when a user types, that function will fire and it will set the search term to the event target value. So that input's value will then become the search term, and then since the state has been altered, it's going to then re-render the project's container down here, these project tiles, based off of the new search term, which will filter out some of the lexicons based off of what the user wants. So if we type in bread, we see that bread is being filtered for. If we type in catfish, we'll see that catfish, yes, catfish is actually coming up in our sensory lexicons. And as the user types, this will update. So you'll see it kind of updating live here. That's pretty good. It's a very basic search. If it doesn't include exactly the same capitalization and the same lowercase letters, it won't show up in the search results. So it can definitely use some refinement and some expanding of what is actually being filtered, but I'm pretty satisfied with it right now because it does present a fairly handy search tool for the user. That's all I did with the dashboard project. So that's all I had time to do with the live stream this morning, but I have more that I did in the afternoon, and I'm actually doing things a little bit differently. I'm diverging from the Odin project slightly, and I'm going to go into that next. So for the latter half of the day, I started a data structures and algorithm strategy that I am going to use to prep for interviews and specifically learn that aspect of computer science. I found this strategy within a success story within the Odin project, and the person was very detailed about how they went about learning data structures and algorithms to supplement the Odin project specifically. And I thought it was a good idea, and I am just going to essentially adopt it for my own strategy as well. So I'm going to give you guys an overview of what that strategy is, and then talk about what I started to do today. So the first step in this strategy is to actually learn the programming language that you're going to use within coding interviews. This person specifically used Python, and they recommended Python since it is the closest thing that you can really get to pseudocode that is a popular language that can be utilized for these interviews. And there's also lots of resources out there for it. You could also use Java or C++. If you know those, it's probably better if you stick to that. I'm going to go with Python. I have a little bit of experience with Python, and this person used Python, so I think it's a pretty good fit for me. And so this was the first part, is to just learn the syntax of the language that you're going to use for the coding interviews. And then the second part is the second step really is to get an understanding of data structures and algorithms as a whole, and specifically to just get some breadth on the topics and determine which topics are important enough to take notes on and which topics are not important enough to spend time taking notes and getting a thorough understanding. So this person uses this tech interview handbook study plan for data structures and algorithms, and they use that to make this decision on what algorithms do I want to take notes on, what don't I want to take notes on. I'm just going to read over. The next step that they took was learning data structures and algorithms over a 6-week period, and they specifically use Python DS3, which is a freely available resource online, and it's essentially kind of like a textbook with activities for learning data structures and algorithms in Python. And they took very extensive notes with this as well, so they were getting very deep dive into the specific algorithms themselves. And this is where they're taking notes or just reading over without taking notes for the less important algorithms and data structures. This next step is learning the LeetCode techniques, patterns, strategies. So they specifically recommend these 2 courses, and I'm going to keep that in mind when I get to that point. So I'm not going to worry about it too much just yet. These are paid courses, but yeah, we'll see where I get to when I get past this third step. But essentially it is to not start practicing just yet, but now that you've gone deep into the data structures and algorithms, you have prioritized things that you're focusing on, then you're going to look at these patterns that are coming from examples that these courses provide for how to solve and handle specific problems. And so they have multiple like examples for each one of the algorithms and patterns that the problems that they have displayed in these courses. So the user or the individual would actually go through a couple examples, and then they would try out some of the harder examples within the courses. And the idea with that is to, again, get an understanding of the potential exposure of breadth, essentially, of the problems that you're going to be trying to solve and practice. And then the last step is then to actually just practice as much as you can with Grind 75, kind of prioritize list of LeetCode problems, and then doing those on LeetCode. So this is the strategy I think I'm going to take. Going forward, I'm going to do the Odin project in the morning for several hours, and then I'm going to do these data structures and algorithms in the afternoon. So today I started this Learn Python. So I have an understanding of Python, but I'm just using this as a refresher to get a bit more thorough. So I'm reading through this Python tutorial on w3schools.com, and I'm just taking some notes as I'm going along. So I'm not trying to memorize this. I'm just trying to get an understanding of broad syntax stuff, and then I'll continue on to the next step within the tech interview. So I'm probably going to take this week to do that. I'll probably finish up in the next couple of days. It doesn't seem like it'll take that long, but that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. This way I'm learning the data structures and algorithms and prepping for interviews as I'm going along with the Odin project curriculum. That's all I have for you guys today, though. If you are interested in following mine and Emily's journeys into web development, definitely subscribe. I will have another live stream tomorrow. If you can't attend the live stream, then definitely check it out on YouTube if you're interested in seeing the details of the project and how I go about approaching it. I will see you guys tomorrow.